That's a large shift. Woo.
Yeah, that lasted for about 2 weeks.
Yeah, imagine so. That long. Wow.
I can remember Steph came home from school one day and I said, Steph, by 9 o'clock this morning, Zach and I were going at it. He's not old enough to work. I'm out of here. And so, yeah, like, I don't know, a week or so later, out of the Sunday paper,
Yeah.
a school had passed a multi-million-dollar bond project, had never had a tech director. They were hiring one, and so
Oh, yeah.
I had said, you know what, I have been doing all this consulting for schools and colleges and stuff. I wonder what it'd be like to be an employee inside a school.
Yeah.
And so I interviewed and got the job, and for 4 years I was a tech director at Riverside Schools, just north of Pittsburgh.
Excellent. So in that time, what'd you learn? And what did you learn that maybe helped you in the future be the kind of guy you are today?
Definitely on the tech side, we were doing a lot of really state-of-the-art stuff, running fiber when fiber wasn't cool,
Right.
installing cameras when cameras weren't cool, just doing a lot of cool things like that.
So you went a front end to a lot of that stuff.
Yes, yep. Really enjoyed it. Learned that, yeah, boy, once you have a family and kids, it's tough being away from. Both of our families were back here in Michigan, and so yeah, in 2000 we decided to look to move back, and U of M Flint offered Steph a Spanish job,
Sure.
teaching Spanish, and I came back, interviewed at a whole bunch of different places, and Oxford offered me the least amount of money out of all the jobs that I was looking at, but so here's a person's name you might recognize, Dr. Mark Orchard.
Mm-hmm.
I won't go into how our family knows him, but I talked with Mark, and I'm like, Mark, I knew that he was a retired superintendent in Oxford. What can you tell me about Oxford? And you know, whatever. And basically, Mark said that, Tim, you won't find a better community.
Excellent. Yeah.
He still lived here, and he's like, you'll love it. And so financially, it wasn't the best decision, but yeah, took a job in August of 2000 in Oxford and never looked back.
Stayed for 20
some years.
20-some years.
22 years
22 years. So you started out doing what for Oxford?
as their tech director.
As their tech director, all right?
Yep. Then over.
What did that involve?
Really at the time, you know, Oxford had passed a bond, I want to say in 98.
Okay.
So when I got there in 2000, they were at the tail end of installing some things in that bond.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, networking, classroom computers, oh my gosh.
Boy, that was-
Teachers' grade books were the first time. I mean, oh my lands.
Yeah.
Online grade books, wow, uproar.
Yeah, big time, I'm sure.
But yeah, so all good stuff.
When you got to Oxford, were there people in the community that you enjoyed being around or that helped you or get involved, or anybody around town that just made you feel welcome?
I don't know if I could narrow that down. I absolutely loved the people in the town of Oxford.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of the young teachers and stuff, we put together the MBL. Do you know what that stands for?
Don't know.
The Morning Basketball League.
MBL, it's got an acronym on it.
Yes.
I like that.
It did convert over to the International Morning Basketball League, the
Wow.
IMBL.
IMBL, even
There's a lot of heated titles.
4 letters are better than 3.
That's right. That's right.
That's-
But yeah,
IMBL.
just lot of great relationships built. Business owners, community leaders. Absolutely love the people of Oxford.
They are good folks.
They are.
So you're tech for a while, and then, near as I can tell, fast forward, they needed a superintendent. How'd that happen?
Well, there was a couple of steps in between in there.
Sure.
Went back, got my MBA in 2009, and so that's just, you know, coming out of that huge recession, And really, I was one of my favorite classes in getting my MBA was a class in innovation. And this is what I learned myself experientially, was that taking my MBA, so it was an online program through, at that time, the Ken Blanchard School of Business at Grand Canyon University. We would go online for 3 months, come together for a long weekend. We would go over stuff, do projects, go back online, and blast through it. I learned more faster in that hybrid environment than at any other time in my life. I also knew, having a full-time job, okay, I can't be driving an hour and a half, 2 hours to go to a class somewhere during the week. I mean, I can't do that. And so this is, again, boy, when online classes just really started and that kind of stuff, but that hybrid format where there was both online and face-to-face, oh my gosh, it was just, I loved it, absolutely loved it. And so out of that was the idea of starting Oxford Virtual Academy.
Okay.
And so there was some other things, but probably today, looking back, that was one of the biggest things that we had begun. And so so I became executive director. Bill Skilling had become superintendent. Took over some of the international stuff, became deputy superintendent, and then in 2015 I knew that I wanted to be a superintendent. That was going to be my last step. And so interviewed in Oxford. I don't know, that board was crazy enough to hire me, but
Good hearts.
yes, they were.
Good
they were.
hearts, too.
Yes. No, Oxford hired me in 2015 as their superintendent, and I stayed on until I retired in 22.
Excellent. I think what we're going to do, we're going to take a little break. We're going to come back in a bit, but I think there's more to this story, and I want to be sure we don't miss a detail or two. So if you'll stay with us, we'll be back. Thanks. Well, thanks for coming back. Tim's telling us a lot about the interesting stuff that's going on at Oxford High School, technologically and innovatively. Give us a little more idea. What was done, and maybe more important, how did this affect the students, and how did this affect the whole process of learning? Because things make waves.
Yeah, so if you remember back, 08, 09, there were some tough financial years, not only in schools, the entire state of Michigan.
Yep.
And so through the Virtual Academy, offering courses online, what we didn't know at the time, basically, though, is that, boy, we were building up, and when we had the pandemic and COVID a couple years ago, OVA was already in operation for 10 years. And so it made just I don't want to say an easy transition, but we had everything in place to just move 100% of the students online. You know, it's sort of ironic too, though, and at the same time, I want to say only us and Brandon and all of Oakland County were the ones fighting to stay back in person at the same time too.
Are you saying then that you had an effective online learning, we won't go too deep, but you had an effective online learning process and program and system, but at the same time you were saying, hey, let's get back to face-to-face as soon as we can?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think that, so there's a certain amount of your population, I don't know, 5%, 10% of your students who probably 100% online is perfect for them. Okay,
right.
Go. There's probably a certain percentage of your population that cannot do online at all.
Yep.
And then there's a good chunk that where I think, where I fit into, is that the best scenario is that blended approach, okay? And so, yeah, during the pandemic, whether it was, you know, wanting to hold face-to-face graduation ceremony in 2000, we pretty much, I think we had 3 or 4 ceremonies. It did not matter. What mattered was it was important that those kids were able to have a graduation ceremony, you know, face-to-face in the stadium, all that kind of stuff. And likewise, coming back that fall, man, we were just doing anything and everything we could to come back face-to-face. Even though, yeah, we had everything set up and we could do things virtually, there was still that face-to-face component that was very important. And so, yeah, I'm proud that, yeah, we were definitely an outlier. Like I said, I think Austin, only Brandon really came back and stayed back, but was not easy.
I'm sure it was not easy. Now, you interacted in what way with the teachers? As a superintendent, you're responsible for the whole system.
Yeah.
Which is to say you're their boss or you're their boss's boss, or how does that work?
So, I'll say it this way. I think as I became a superintendent, one of the things that I heard most from, I'll say, the general teaching population was that, well, how can Tim be the superintendent? He's never been a classroom teacher.
I bet you heard that.
But here's the reality. The reality is the day in and day out job of the superintendent is not to be teaching in the classroom, but to set that environment, put people in place so that those best learning opportunities can take place. And so I interacted with teachers really from on the business side of things of the better I can make the environment for my employees, the better product they are going to give to the ultimate end customer, which is the students and our families. And so, yeah, we did a lot of various programming. We added a bunch of CTE classes at the high school. Hired a lot of really good people.
Got it.
Yeah, but day in and day out, really my interaction was not at the classroom level, although I always enjoyed going into the classroom as much as I could. And just, I don't know, listening, getting a feel for how things are going.
Watching the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now, your work, your job, your position takes up a fair amount of your life.
Yes,
it doesn't take up all of your life. What's happening in the rest of your life during these years that you've been, let's say the years you've been at Oxford, what's happened to you and yours?
So I think that probably the biggest thing is that as I took different positions in Oxford and ultimately became the superintendent, those last 7 years, it was a 24/7 job. It didn't matter weekends. There's no such thing as you know, your phone not going off, or dealing with issues or that kind of stuff. But outside of work, I really enjoyed hunting.
Yeah.
I still do today.
What do you hunt?
You know, duck hunting, really any type of hunting and fishing. I absolutely love fishing. And so as far as a release, I always looked to get out in the woods or on a lake as much as I could. That was always good. Went on a couple of trips, went to Alaska, went to New Mexico. In the fall of 21, I had went to Montana and Wyoming.
The big stuff.
Got a really nice mule deer and an antelope. And so hunting and fishing has been a big part, and definitely golf.
Sure. We're going to cut away for a break for a minute. We'll be back for more, so stay tuned, and thank you. Why do you think hunting and fishing are something that brings you relaxation? Aren't those a lot of work?
They can be, but I think just the quietness, the solitude, you know, putting your phone on vibrate and just enjoying the outdoors.
Okay.
I don't know. Golf, I think it's, you're usually competing against somebody, but really golf is a game against yourself. Oh, my Lance.
Yep.
Yeah. And so, and you can tell a ton about people and how they play golf. Mm-hmm. So I really like that because I like to just observe and learn. And so, yeah.
How about family? What's your family been up to the last X years?
Zach, our oldest, is the only one that's married. He had graduated from college, moved to Columbus, doing some acting, some other things. Yeah. They have 3 kids. Fast forward, over Labor Day, just a couple months ago, they moved back to Michigan. They had sold their house. Likewise, our second oldest boy was living in Columbus. Okay, we're big U of M fans.
I was going to say, I hear Columbus
all that kind of stuff, and everybody is like, Tim, how in the world did your 2 boys end up in that state down south? And so my answer to that is, I told them they're down there doing missionary work.
Bravo. Excellent.
So
Excellent.
that's the story. We're sticking to it.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. Maybe Zeb will move home someday soon. Don't know. But and then our two youngest, Kristen, AJ, they are both back in Michigan now. But Kristen, I had heard she's gonna maybe be working down in Kentucky again, and so AJ is working after he spent he went to 1 year of school down at Word of Life in Florida,
Yeah.
and so he's back in Michigan working, and so yeah, grandkids are back in the state and thoroughly enjoying having them around.
Life is good, isn't it?
Yes.
You have a son, AJ.
Yes.
I have a daughter, AJ.
Oh, nice.
So we share that. And a certain love for hunting and fishing, by the way.
Awesome.
Yes.
What about golf?
Golf and I have never been close personal friends. It laughs at me.
Okay.
It's
All right.
embarrassing to have a sport laugh at you.
Okay.
Yeah, I try,
It can
but-
be that way.
Yeah, it just goes, go away, young man, go away.
Yep.
So, all right. So life is interesting. You've got a lot going on. Right now, you're sort of at a pause for a while, right?
Yes.
You've retired.
Yes.
I can't imagine you're going to stay retired. It sounds like you're a doer.
Yep.
So what do you think about the future for the Throne family?
Well, the immediate future is still working on my to-do list,
Right.
getting that done. That'll take me a little bit longer to get those big items done, but
Sure.
I'm thoroughly enjoying learning tiling and carping skills that I did not know that existed. Painting skills, although I've done my fair share of painting, so not really learning new about that. But yeah, just enjoying time with the kids and grandkids. But I am sure that I will be doing something. I haven't narrowed it down
Right.
quite yet.
Yep.
I've talked to 3 or 4 different people in organizations, and just haven't quite decided yet what I want to be when I grow up.
So what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah, I say that sort of tongue in cheek, in that
How so?
for most of my life, I had been asking myself the wrong question.
Really?
And that question was, Tim, what do you want to be when you grow up? And so, although it took me almost my entire life to find the better question, or maybe even perhaps the best question, at least I finally found it. And the question that I should have been asking myself is, who do I want to be when I grow up?
I see.
And I think that if I were to give any advice to students, and I have in the past, I would encourage them to ask themselves that question, not what do they want to be, but who do they want to be.
So character trumps career, you're thinking?
You can come to your own conclusions, but the who do you want to be is something that you can work on today, and it's not dependent upon tomorrow.
Well, from what you said at the beginning, it sounds like you've been very, very busy for quite a while,
Yes.
and that you're taking a bit of a time out. That makes a lot of sense to me.
It really did. My dad gave me some good advice after I retired. He said, Tim, for 1 year, don't buy anything major, don't sell anything major,
Yeah.
don't move, do not make any major decisions for a year. And so I got a few more months before it's a year, but I'm taking his advice and not doing that. I
for you.
went down to Florida to see them and just took my time coming back up. You know, it was the first time that I didn't have to be back at a certain day and time. And
Yep.
I stopped and I got reacquainted with my favorite elementary teacher that I hadn't seen in forever.
Bravo.
And so I spent the night with her and
What's her name?
Her name today is Mrs. Everett, but to me she'll always be Mrs. Hemming.
Got it. We want to give props to the folks out there.
Yes, for sure.
Yep.
And so I stopped and saw her and just have been getting reacquainted with her. Some old friends when we had moved back to Michigan before we had kids, Mark and Christy, they had been living over by Memphis. Hadn't seen them in I can't tell you how many years. So I stopped in and I saw them and spent a couple of days there and saw my uncle and my aunt. Looked at some possible duck hunting land lease on my way home and just made my way home. And so I was gone for, I don't know, numerous weeks, just I don't know, seeing what the day brought forth and going from there.
And your bride's holding down the fort.
That's right.
Yep. Yep.
Yep,
I suspect when you came back, you were refresheder than when you left,
definitely.
if that's a word.
Yes.
I think it's a word.
If it's not a word, it's definitely a feeling
It is a feeling. Good.
of just, I don't know, maybe being able to catch your breath. You haven't
Yeah.
been able to exhale for like months,
Yeah.
and you finally could exhale.
Good. All right. Well, I want to say thank you. I enjoyed reading about this Tim Throne character, but I never got to know him. Today I got to know him, and he's way more than I knew about, because everybody is way more than we know about.
Yes.
Everybody has a story.
Yes, they do.
Thanks for taking some time to tell us yours. We wish you the best in the future.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming by.
Thank you.
All right. Chuck Cameron saying, for Tim Throne and I, you have a good day. That's it for now. The show is my life, and we hope you have a dandy. Enjoy.
Good morning. I'm Connie Miller from Free Meals. You probably all know that by now because I've come to you often enough, but I'm back again. You can see from the picture behind me, that's what our pantry shelves looked like last night after service. We started service in pretty good shape, low on a couple things, but we're empty now, which means I'm going grocery shopping as soon as I leave here. We continue to need help from the community. Cash donations, grocery donations. I think maybe some people are curious as to who is receiving this service from the team. They're your neighbors. No one knows what goes on in the house next door, but I know a lot of these people. And initially, a lot of these people were embarrassed when they pulled up because they've known me for 30 years. They live next door to us. They live down the street. It's not all senior citizens and homeless people. Matter of fact, that makes up a very small percentage of the people that we serve. These are families with children, and it's getting worse for them every week. Trying to make their bills. They work, they have jobs. Most everyone's gone back to work of some sort, whether working from home or back to an outside position. Nobody's slacking here. That term was used yesterday by a gentleman at Meijer when he saw that I was buying a lot of milk and eggs. He referred to those people as slackers. Well, they're not. They're trying really hard. Help me get the word out. Again, my number is 248-933-4579, and we will be including a list of the groceries that we carry on a regular basis as part of this. I'd like to thank Terry and OCTV and my wizard Kyle for helping me, again, using their facilities to put this together so I can get the word out to